Good morning, everybody. Good evening, everybody. There for some of the people there from our islands, let's say. But good morning to all of you folk over there in the United States. Thank you all very much for joining us. And today, what we're doing is we're presenting to you our CANDOUR model, or really part of our CANDOUR model, lesson 1, module 1. This is all part of our mindset mentoring course that we cover, that I cover together with my colleague Alex Loach. And stalls. So, CANDOUR, we chose CANDOUR because of its meaning. It means the quality of being open, being honest, being frank. Man of refreshing and distinguished CANDOUR. And this is it. This is CANDOUR model. This is lesson 1. This is module 1. So I hope you're all ready to take notes. This is going to be a really exciting ride into how to find and how to create your own special personal message. So this is what it's all about, finding your life story, finding your message. Together we're going to do this. This is a done with you service, remember. So what we're going to cover in module 1, we're going to cover our life stories, our messages from myself, Paul, and from my colleague, Alex. Then we're going to show you how that you can create your story so that it will benefit you and it will benefit your clients, and it will teach you how to get and how to attract your perfect client. Remember, always have water. How to make sure that you will get really, really great results using our CANDOUR model. If we do this together, we will succeed. And we're going to teach you, most importantly, how to charge more for your services and how to get you and your business more ideal, more perfect, more really lukewarm, ready to buy clients. This is the outcome. Remember, we are dealing with a focused outcome. We have got deliverables and we have got outcome. And this is what you will take away from this lesson. You will learn how really important it is, how vitally important it is in the service-based industry that you tell your story correctly to get high ticket sales. We want to teach you how to create something truly authentic. And what can be more authentic than telling your story and showing how it can relate to the people and what benefits it can bring to them. As a coach, as a knowledge broker, as a trainer, as a teacher, you are the brand. Even if you're a seller of products, it's still you. You are the brand. Think of Steve Jobs. Think of Apple. The brand was Apple, but it was always synonymous with Jobs. Wherever it went, even after Steve died, rest in peace, he still was there, the epicenter, there, the face of Apple, the creator. And we want to show you how you can use your message, how you can use your story to get more ideal clients. And we want to show you how your clients can get a personal connection with you and with your brand. So what we're going to help you to create today, tonight, 3 versions of your story. We want to show you a 90-second version, a 3 to 4 minute version. The 90-second version is like what we call our elevator pitch. The 3 to 4 minute version, what you can use for webinars. And then we're going to show you how you can even produce this into a longer version. I've done something like this where I produce it and I turn it into a comedy wit, and I can sort of stand up and I can do this now for 90 plus minutes, and I can really I think I can make myself laugh because I never know what's going to happen next. But it's always a very, very interesting exercise, and this is why we have chosen it to come first as the first part of our first module. So we want to show you how that you can extract your own life lessons, and then we want to show you how you can use these to go out and to schedule client meetings by telling them your story, your way. Who this course is aimed at? It's aimed at people out there in our group who have already started to sell things online. People who would like to increase their service fees without encountering any resistance. People who want to close more clients, but without all of this traditional chasing and cold calling and cold emailing and cold LinkedIning. No, people who genuinely want to spend their time helping their clients to get amazing, fantastic results. And also people who would like to have a steady influx of perfect clients during these times. But it's also for people, and note this, because there are some of these people in our group, and welcome, welcome, welcome. You are very, very, very welcome. But there are people out there who have said to me, hey, Paul, I still don't know what I want to sell. And being honest with you, I've been trapped in this corporate lifestyle there for the past so many years. And I have had to give back my company car. I've had to give back my company perks. And now I'm out here, I'm alone for the first time. And I have to support my wife. I have to support my partner. I have to support my children. And they have not achieved their first client themselves for them. And they are still searching for the answer. They are still searching for what they want to sell. And this is why this lesson, this module, is aimed at both you sets of people. Those who know already what you want to sell and those who don't know what they want to sell. We want to help you both. So I want to show you how to create, how to mold, how to manipulate your perfect story. And your story must have these sections. It must have some vulnerability. It must go deep down into the pit of your soul. And it also must have credibility. It must have results. It must have successes. And all of us have been successful. All of us have had incredible results. What I ask you to do is I ask you to divide your life into three sections, into three stages. For example, I'm 49 years of age. So you try to divide it roughly by three, and then you come up with about 15, 16, 17-year segments, and then you try to divide it into three sections, and you try to develop what were your pit moments in each of those sections, and what were your results, your success moments in those sections. Whenever you were a child, whenever you were a young adult, whenever you're moving into middle age, what was happening, what was going on in your life. This is what we want to know, because this is going to help us to create the most authentic version of you. But please, 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 people, do not confuse this with event telling, because event telling is boring. If you're sort of sitting there and going, well, when I was 5, I graduated from preschool, and when I was 6, I went into the first school. No. Please, please, please do not. People will tune out. People will tune out completely. The story must be interesting. The story must be interesting. And I'm going to teach you some tips, tricks, and techniques to make this a really interesting, entertaining, engrossing story. So please follow with us. How does the story begin? How to create your perfect story. Your story always begins with your call, a call into your journey. And it has to have, as I've just said, it has to have some vulnerability. It has to have some pit moments. And, believe it or not, I've had some pit moments, and Alex has had some pit moments. All of us have had some pit moments. Moments there when we've lost people close to us, when our plans have been completely scuppered. And then what we're trying to do is we're trying to go through to the search moments. So we're going through the search moments and how we fought, how we battled, how we searched to end up here today together in this module. What brought us here? What turned me? What made me decide to be a coach, to be a trainer? What made Alex there decide to be a mindset coach, a wellness coach, a well-being coach? This is what we're about to find out. And then we have to talk about credibility, because credibility is our breakthrough moment. This is the moment when we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now remember, I've struck through this text for a reason. Don't just tell people how great or how fantastic or successful you are, because if you do that, people will turn off in their droves. Be authentic. Be authentic. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Even me. Okay, I'm changing this color up a bit to make sure that you're all paying attention. So bear with me there at the back. This is my call. This is my call. Some people call this our hero's journey, but I call it my calling. I'm not going to be a priest or whatever, but or a spiritual minister. This was my call. It was Wednesday. It was the 29th of February. It's 1984. Picture this. I'm 13 years old. I'm sitting on the living room floor playing video games in my Atari. My dad walks in and he's got my cousin. He's a few years older than I am. And he starts telling me all about this fantastic life he's having as an IT entrepreneur. And I remember as a family growing up, like we had money problems. I remember my parents arguing about money issues, etc., about being able to afford the car, whatever. And I was always thinking to myself, what is an entrepreneur? Then I learned what an entrepreneur was, and I was thinking to myself, wow, hold on, I'm hooked. I was enthralled. I was engrossed. And from that moment onwards, I made a pact with myself. I knew that I was going to do everything I could to study, to overachieve, to succeed. Because Fergal told me, my cousin told me, that only the best person was chosen, the best person in the year, with the best grades and the most outstanding resume. That's a CV to you and I. But the most outstanding resume was going to get this job. And I decided then, at the age of 13 and a half, it was going to be me, no matter what it took. So now just think about this for a moment. Now think about the tense that I used there. I'm sitting, I'm doing, I'm listening. This is a tense in the English language called present continuous. Why did I choose the present continuous tense when this happened many years ago in the past? Because what I'm trying to do with you, my audience, is I'm trying to make you picture it. Picture this. That's how I started it. Picture this. It's Wednesday. It's the 29th of February. It's 1984. This is not a George Orwell novel, but this is reality. I want you to relate to it. And I want each of you to sort of picture, where you were. What were you doing when you experienced your calling? And whenever you thought to yourself, hold on, I want to be a handyman. Hold on, I want to be a shoe shiner. I want to be a sales director. I want to be an independent sales director. I want to sell mobile phone products. I want to sell cosmetics, jewelry, whatever. So think about it, because think about it the last time that you watched a movie that you really, really loved. What was the title of that movie? What were you doing when you were watching that movie? Were you watching it at home, or were you watching it in the cinema? Were you watching it with some friends, maybe a lover, maybe your wife, maybe your partner? Were you completely engaged in that story? Think about how you felt. Now fast forward exactly seven and a bit years. I'm sitting there with the top grades, resume in my hand shaking, as always, determined to get exactly the same job as my cousin, Fergal. The interviewer is a guy, his name was Jean-Jacques Braun. He was over 2 meters tall, very, very thin, French guy, chiseled chin, really, really deep ingrained suntan. And he walks into the room. I'm the first person to be interviewed. I'd been waiting, I think, from about 1.5 hours before the interview began. I only lived like 10 minutes away from where the interview took place, but I was determined that I was not going to be late. I woke up incredibly early. I went for a run, really trying to psych myself up. And I'm there and I'm waiting. And I've got all the stuff there printed out, why I should be chosen for this. But anyway, he comes in and he starts the interview with a very direct question, and he looks at me and he says, Paul, tell me who is Paul Gerard? Gerard is my middle name. It's Gerard in English or Irish. But, he took it with a French slant, of course. And I start talking, and before I know it, I was actually talking for about 2.5 hours straight. I must have bored the absolute pants off this guy. But anyway, he looks at me, interview concludes, and this was my very first interview. I had no idea what to expect. There was only one other person in the interview process who had been at more than one interview. Okay, he was a mature student and older than myself. I had no idea how long these things were supposed to last. So anyway, I went out. My colleague, Shaim, she went in, and then after that it was Jim, etc. And each one of them were in for about 15, 20 minutes, and I was there for 2.5 hours. And so at that point, I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling really confident. Anyway, cut a long story short there, because this is all included in the 90-minute version. I wasn't chosen. I wasn't chosen. I was not chosen. So the guy with more experience than me, he was chosen. But then something happened. And I get the job. I get the job. I was joint first choice. I'll say it that way. And I go in anyway. My boss, Jean-Jacques, he sets me a 12-month plan. I ace that plan. I take it, and 12 months later, I'm supposed to return to university, and I don't. I came in second place in the stagiaires, and I was determined that I was going to do even better, that I was going to get to first place. So I stayed there, and I wanted to do even better, and I did. And I thought about doing this for other companies, helping other companies in the same way. Each time going out, providing real value, over delivering, and working my absolute derriere, as the French would say, off. Wow. Then came my pit moment. And remember, in every person's story, there has to be a vulnerability moment. And I'm not saying to anybody, please go out and slash your wrists, or jump off a cliff, or jump into a ravine, or something stupid like that. But this was my pit moment. And I've thought like very, very long about sharing this with people, and I thought, okay, well, this is what happened. Basically, it's the 22nd of April. I'm lying there. I wake up and I'm attached to a heart monitor, and I'm just looking at the heart monitor, and it's becoming fainter and fainter, and then it starts beeping and it stops working. The sinusoid graph stops working. So I think to myself, hold on, there's something wrong there with that, and I have to tell somebody. So I get up and I go for a walk, and I walk through a door, and I remember looking at my colleague who brought me there. He's eating a chocolate bar, and he's reading the back page of an English newspaper, the Daily Star. Now, you might not think that's strange or whatever, but we were in the south of France. Then I remember about the heart monitor not working, and he didn't seem interested in me. So I return to the room, and I see people. They're dressed in scrubs, and they're crowded around where I was a few months ago. So I'm trying to push through, and I'm trying to get their attention, but they're not paying me any attention. They're sort of busy with whoever it is that's lying on this bed that has just taken my place. And then I see the legs, and the legs look short and stubby. They look like my legs. The chest, hairy chest, similar to mine. Then thought to myself, hold on, this looks like me. But in the next millisecond, I'm sitting bolt upright with defibrillator pads burning the shit out of my chest. They had lost me. I flatlined. What I saw was my soul floating around. It was a really surreal moment. It was the darkest, most vulnerable moment of my entire life. This was my second serious accident. This time I knew it was serious. I was clinically dead, or flatlined is the term that they used, at the age of 20, 21. So I phoned my father to tell him. I made him a promise after my first serious accident that I would tell him when things like this happened, because the first time he was extremely disappointed in me, and he's extremely worried about my my health, my mental health. So I place a collect call to Ireland, and I transmit the news to him. He's there. He's watching a movie with my friend Paul, and the rest of the story I know from my friend. But he turns pale, my father, and he goes upstairs, and he talks to my sister. She's doing her homework, and then he walks into the bathroom, closes the door, and falls to the floor. He has experienced a massive heart attack, fatal heart attack, and he was only 43. Then, so as I'm sitting there in France, holding on to my life, the only thing there that has come through my head is the shame and the fact that the news that I delivered, or rather that I had delivered to my father, probably killed him. And all that I can think, all that is going through my head at that moment is, if I die too, what will my father say to me? You know, we end up at the pearly gates of heaven, or whatever you believe in, together. Will he be angry with me? Will he be disappointed? Then my thoughts turn to my mother and to my 3 sisters. What were they going to do without him, without our father? He was my teacher. He was my trainer. He was my coach. He was my best friend. And he was an incredible role model to follow. So after that, I made it a big mission statement of mine that I was determined to do everything in my power to improve my health, to improve my physical health, and to improve my mental health, and to stop getting into these stupid, really serious accidents. That's my pit moment. That was the most vulnerable, darkest time of my entire life. I don't want to go through those scenes. Anyway, out of the pit moment, out of those vulnerability moments, there we have to think, you know, I don't expect anybody to have moments that are like I experienced. But all of us have experienced some vulnerability, some low moments. This is what a pit is. We have to get to the bottom of this. We have to experience what we are feeling, who we are, what happened. You know, I hope one day that I'm able to go through those previous 2 screens that I didn't want to show you just now. But anyway, the story continues. And for this, I've chosen a screen I've chosen a song from probably Ireland's biggest export after Guinness. Probably Ireland's biggest export now, because they're doing slightly better than Guinness in terms of our exports. But the name of the group is U2, and the lead singer is a man called Bono, Sir Bonio, as I call him. His name is also Paul, and I've met this man, and you know, I've talked with him, And that's a different story. But anyway, I'll start this all with a joke because, the vulnerability always makes you go down. And there is a joke running around Ireland and I think several other countries on the planet. And the joke is, I hope none of you religious people out there are offended by this, but the joke goes something along the lines of, what's the difference between God or Jesus Christ and Bono? And the answer is, of course, God doesn't walk around thinking that he is Bono. It is true. It is true. Yes. Bucket list. Okay. Anyway, searching. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I was achieving success. I was making more money there than any other 21-year-old university student. This was the top placement. And I knew there, no matter what it took, I was going to achieve this. And afterwards, then I remember graduating. I was unemployed for 2 days. I graduated on a Wednesday, and I had an interview on a Thursday and a Friday. And I got both jobs, and I was really in a dilemma. Which way do I want to choose? Do I want to go for the fully fledged sales role, or do I want to go into a technical sales role? And I thought to myself, I want to go into the technical sales role. So the dilemma was solved, and I wanted to really knock this one out of the park, knock it completely out of the park. And wow. This is what I did, so ever since like the age of 13, 14, whenever I experienced my calling, I knew what I wanted to do. They even created a special position for me, but for me it wasn't enough. I went to work then. I chose the technical sales role there in Quarterdeck, and again it wasn't enough. And then I went further. I went on database administration course, and I went on a development course, and I really wanted to get inside the heads of the developers, the DBAs, the DevOps people. There are those things. I wanted to see what made them tick. I knew that I was never going to be a phenomenal developer, a phenomenal computer scientist, but I was prepared to put all of my soft skills, which I had in abundance, and I was prepared to take them out there and to show these people there that soft skills plus linguistics plus there my technical knowledge was more than enough to keep me out there in the mainstream, at the forefront. But I kept having this overwhelming ambition, itchy feet. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what type of entrepreneur. So I went out to India with a friend and with some other people there from France and from Denmark, and we went out to train people using things called Lotus. Don't know if any of you remember this. Lotus Notes, Lotus 1, 2, 3, all of those products. They don't exist anymore. This was better. I was starting to do something there that I could really turn my finger to. But these weren't my products, so it didn't matter if it was QEMM from Quarterdeck or Clean Sweep from Quarterdeck or Magnoram from Quarterdeck. It was just a different product, but it wasn't my product. It wasn't my babies, and I couldn't put my finger on it yet. I was still searching. I went back to Dublin. I worked for the telcos in Holland. Yes, that's right. Got a job in Dublin, and they sent me off to Holland on the very first day, and for the duration of my time there. And then in one of my times back in Dublin, I met a Polish girl, and she told me that her father was doing quite poorly. They ran a hotel in the south of Poland. So I moved over to Poland on the 12th of September, one day after 9/11. There in New York, and the rest is history. And Michael Jackson is still a mystery. Yeah, I have a story about that one too. But anyway, that's in the longer sketch. So I did. Unlike Bono and his merry men, I did find what I was looking for. What I found out was it wasn't the money. Because we were earning like incredible amounts of money. We were earning like hundreds of pounds a day.
And whenever I thought there to myself, can I replicate this? And then I replicate it and I replicate it. And then I thought to myself, it wasn't a success. But I was missing something. I was missing something there that I couldn't quite put my finger on. And this was perhaps the Parkinson's, perhaps the Tourette's, but I was kept away from training people on a large scale. I was fine, 1-to-1 or 1-to-3 or 1-to-5 or 1-to-7, like 1-to-14, but as the numbers became bigger, it became more uncomfortable for me. And then a friend's mother died, and he worked as a trainer in Poland, as an English trainer, English speaking trainer. So what I did was I wrote off to him, and I asked him if I could replace him for the length of time that he would be in Ireland attending his mum's funeral. And he said, yeah, okay, here's my boss's details there. You can do this. So it was basically for 1 week. I put on my big boy pants and I got my suitcase, my briefcase, my laptop and everything together. And I went out there and I braved the stage again. And this time I was determined to be authentic and to just tell people in Polish that I came to their training because my friend, his mum had died, and I was standing in for him for this week, and I was bringing along to the party, to the training session, two alter egos of myself, which I then decided to call. Bono calls his Mephisto, but I decided to call mine Madame Tourette and Michael Parkinson, after the legendary chat show host. And I think this is the epiphany moment. That's a hard word to say, but this was my epiphany moment, because I always talk to my clients about the audible click. And, if some of you know me better, ask me about the Oxford University audible click, or the Netflix audible click. Really unbelievable, the advice there that I can give to people, and then they experience what I call an audible click. And an audible click can be something like, got it, clap for the hands, or in my case it's always this, the Homer Simpson expression. And it's all about giving them their message, and you're making sure that your message is driven home to them in the correct way. It's indescribable. It's like everything that you see differently. And in my life, I think I've discovered 3 audible clicks. 3. I realized our audible click 1, it was the night before my oral examination in modern foreign languages. And I remember my teacher constantly kicking my desk and saying, "Are you completely," bad word, "stupid?" And I was thinking, am I ever going to get this? Am I ever going to get this? Is it ever going to make sense to me? And then this was the first of the exams, and I was sitting on my bedroom floor, and it suddenly clicked. It suddenly clicked into place. And then I realized that I could not only speak a foreign language, I could also understand a foreign language, and I could learn the patterns. It was as if the words were sort of jumping out to me in multiple levels, and I could become a proofreader of many languages. I could see a mistake, even sometimes in a language that I didn't speak. Localization. Wow, this was a really, really good talent that I found. The second audible click was, a client said to me, "I think I know why you were put here on the earth." And it's to sell things, to sell yourself, to sell your training, to sell your course, to sell your products. If you really believe in something, I can see how passionate you are. I'm the worst poker player in the history of this world. My face lights up like a Christmas tree. I get even a remotely good hand, and boom, everybody just folds, because all they can see is my face is just lit up. But whenever I believe in something, whenever I'm truly passionate, whenever I'm authentic, there people can see it. And then the person said to me, "You could sell ice to the Eskimos." But anyway, the third audible click, the real epiphany moment. I'm sitting there in a conference. So I've replaced my friend, and I want you to examine the time difference here. The time difference here, because this is how it went. This is how it went, and I heard this so many times over so many days, and I thought to myself, I've got a really easy job, really easy job. So what would happen is every day this man, this incredible man, his name was Gary Saxer, he would go up and he would say, hi, allow me to introduce myself. I'll try to do this in an American accent. Hi, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Gary Saxer, Vice President, Quarterdeck Technical Services, Marina Del Rey, Southern California, United States of America. At your service, ma'am. And you are... Now you have to imagine how long it took this man to deliver those, how many words are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, 28, 29, 30. 30 words, 30 words. And he could, every single time, you know, he went to the bathroom. He met somebody in the bathroom queue. That's what they would get. He met somebody at the, what did he call it? The checking stand or the hat stand. He would get that. He would be there at the cloakroom in London, and he would do the same. He would do the same night, noon, and morning. But this was issued in the same time frame that it took me to say, Paul. That was my introduction. So you have to compare it. Hi, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Gary Sachs, Vice President, Quarterdeck Technical Services, Marina Del Rey, Southern California, United States of America, at your service, ma'am. And you are... In his real southern drawl. The guy was an actor. Yeah, the guy would go up on stage and he would improvise. He was fantastic. He was, I think they're the best seller I have, the best salesperson I have ever seen in my entire life, bar none. Incredible person, incredible person. Anyway, I'm sitting there, I'm his understudy, yeah? And an understudy is a person who sits and stands in the eaves. You know, what I learned were za kulisami in Polish. And I'm sitting on the stage there in one of London's conferences. I'm thinking I've got a really cushy number. You know, it's a Saturday, it's a morning. I've got a hangover, and all I have to do is just sit and listen to him. And all I have to do is keep passing him, you know, Diet Coke in a sippy cup. And this guy can talk for hours and hours on end. And he never, ever takes a break. And I stood in as his understudy many, many, many times. I thought to myself, excellent, excellent, because you know, so many times I was panicking. I was like literally shitting my pants there at the thought of having to go up on that stage. But then the unthinkable happened. Gary came off the stage and said, I need to take a break. I need to run to the toilet. Now, put this mic on. Turn it on. And I'm just there. What? And then he runs off like Billy-O in the direction of the bathroom, the restrooms. And I just stood there shaking. I think Chris mic'd me up, and I'm just looking. I said, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? Said, just be authentic. Just tell them your story. Just entertain them, and just there we'll try to figure out something. So I go up on stage, and everybody's standing there with their programs, and they're all expecting to see Gary, and instead of Gary, it's Paul from Ireland, and I'm just thinking to myself, holy shit, you know, would the floor just open up and swallow me up? But it didn't. And so I began shaking as I do, and I began telling them stuff. You know, I'm old enough now, I'm ugly enough now to realize that I've got a face for radio and I've got a voice for I don't know what. But I began to tell them my story, and I began to tell them what brought me there in front of them today. And you know what? It worked.
And I even there, as the nervousness sort of, moved into me telling my story, my authentic version of me, I noticed even Gary was sitting in the audience with a big smile on his face. He wasn't trolled, he was hooked. He was asking questions, asking questions about this. Hey, Paul, tell us about this. Hey, Paul, tell us about that. And I was lighting up like a Christmas tree. I loved it. I loved it. Then the end of the day came, and I thought I'd only been on the stage for a few moments. I didn't realize I'd been speaking there on stage for several hours. Several hours. I felt fantastic. I felt alive. Then Gary said he put an envelope into my blazer pocket, into my jacket pocket, and he said, "Open it later." When I went back to the hotel, I opened it up. I thought maybe it was a note or something, but inside the envelope were literally thousands of dollars, thousands of dollars. I asked him why. He said, "You're worth it. You got it. You're a born trainer, a natural." And then I did this. Audible click number 3. Yeah. So now it's time for the breakthrough moment, right? And you have to remember there that in every single part of our breakthrough, there has to be an inner breakthrough and an outer breakthrough. Believe me, this is going to make sense later. This is going to make sense later. You have to define your credibility, your breakthrough moments in terms of both inner and outer, okay? And this is where I start trying to lay down the credibility, the success, because I've shown you, I've displayed to you my lowest moment, the lowest ebb of my life, the deepest, darkest pit there that I have crawled out of. And now, there, what I can say to you is, sitting here in front of you in 2020, I am the author of the Gravy Train Guide. The Gravy Train is a train that makes money, and I have chosen the most profitable, most affluent new country in the European Union, Poland. I now sell my programs there for $30,000 and upwards. Upwards. I started off many years ago in 1994 selling them for less than $30. I do a live on stage comedy routine of what got me here. You know, those moments, even some of the moments there that I wanted to gloss over there that I didn't want to talk about. And it takes about 90 minutes. And if you've never seen a guy with Parkinson's, and I've only got Parkinson's condition, by the way, I do not have the disease. I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate. Blessed, in fact, that I don't have that. But I do have the condition, and I do have Tourette's syndrome. And if you've ever seen these two things together, wow, it is really funny. I urge you to have a look. It's even funny for me because I do not know what Madame Tourette's, a part of my brain, is going to say next and how it's going to interact with my other friend on my other shoulder, Michael Parkinson. And it is truly epic. I love after the first 13, 14, 15 minutes, I love each and every single moment of it. And I love the reaction by the people afterwards when they come up to me and they say, wow, you know, I thought I was nervous and then I see you. And I say, yes, I'm like this 24 hours a day, 24/7. It never stops. It never stops. Anyway, traveling the world whenever we could travel the world. You remember all those times? I went everywhere. I went all over Asia. I went all over Europe. I've never been to North America yet, but my plan is to go there. And on the conference agenda for this year, I've got Brazil, etc. If they will ever open up the conference gates to us again, and also to Australia and to Australasia. Now I'm teaming up with Alex Loach. He's also a knowledge broker. He's a member of the KBB group. And we now have a lifestyle family business there. Alex is a mindset coach there. And I'll tell you why. You know, I thought to myself, my goodness, I want to get involved with this incredible person because my life has been transformed. And I found love. You know, I'm in a great relationship. I have 2 fantastic kids.
Emsy Wemsy, who you've probably seen at the beginning of the video, she's 4.5, and Patrick Anthony, and he's 12.5. And I love those two people more than anything in this world. There's nothing I would not do for them. But please don't tell them I said that, otherwise they will think, oh, daddy, V-Bucks, V-Bucks, V-Bucks. Traveling the world, that was, yes, anyway, there, as I said before, that was before COVID-19. I realize I've got this in twice, I do apologize. And I'm now teaching people how to do this effectively and remotely. And we're really trying to do this from a unique perspective, thereby getting the message out, getting these message to the masses, and working with causes. I love working with causes. You know, for example, helping people out there from the NHS. I've developed software for them. It was a great cause. Working there with a lot of people there to try to highlight a lot of different issues. So I want to really, truly, and utterly create impact. I want to connect with people at a very high level. I really want to get to know them. You know, this is one of the parts of CANDOUR that we will go through. I want to get a deep dive, I want to get a deep understanding of who these people are, Are they religious? Are they non-religious? Are there people that want to achieve money, or they want to achieve success, or they want to help out people, or they want to become a member of special groups? What is their ultimate fulfillment goal? Okay, this is what I want to do. But anyway, remember, let's just summarize this now for a moment. How do we create the story? Remember, the story has to consist of four parts. There has to be a call. What is your call? What was your call? The call has to create a dilemma. Like, I was sitting there and I didn't know which way I was going to choose, which path. You know, and for many of us there, we find the job of our dreams, and then we find out we're trapped in the job of our dreams, and then we find out maybe it's not really the job of our dreams anymore. Like, I see my sisters, one of them is a medical surgeon, one of them is a lawyer, and they did everything. They did everything to study, get the best grades, and then they achieve it. And then they become from a surgeon to a radiographer, and from a lawyer then to a more qualified lawyer, and a more qualified lawyer. And then I have another sister who's an IT programmer, product manager, program manager, project manager, and all of those things. And they work incredibly hard. But they're working hard for other people, for other causes, for other institutions, the NHS, their law firm, the IT firm. But my mission was to help people. This is what I think I was put on the planet for. This is what I firmly believe. Just like my father, Patrick Anthony the First, he was put on this planet to teach, to educate, to train us, to coach us. And he was there through all of my moments there, from my first serious accident to my second serious accident, and they're almost there for my third serious accident. And he was like an incredible person. He really shaped me, and it really didn't feel good in what I was doing. And what I was trying to do was, I really still hadn't found what I was looking for. And all I can describe it for you, it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem right until the moment there where I took that stage. Okay? And then we have to go through the pit moments. We have to show the people, we have to show our audience that we are vulnerable, that we are susceptible. You know, none of us out there are demigods. None of us out there are perfect, whatever. Everybody has a pit moment. And I encourage you to find your pit moment, to really, really look deep, to think about it. Go out there, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, have a glass of water, and think to yourself, what is your pit moment? Because there is a moment there whenever you're looking at your own story and you're asking yourself if your character, you know, you're talking about yourself in the third person. Will my character ever make it? When I was lying there, and I didn't know that I was dying, but I was still trying to find a solution.
And that's what I believe. There, you know, if I can work out a way to keep me here on this planet to serve these people for another 2 or 3 minutes, I will give everything. For me, it's not about the money. The money will always come there because I am always in the pursuit of happiness. Always in the pursuit of happiness. I want to do everything I can to be the best version of me. So you remember the search moment. The search moment, I'm sort of like there. I'm not feeling good about myself. I'm not feeling worthy. I'm feeling like complete shit. I'm clinically dying or flatlining. And the shame that was associated with that, like in the 90-minute version, you know, whenever I go through this, I go through the conversations there with my mother, the conversations with my aunt, the conversations with my cousin. I only have one cousin there who was then a very young girl, but even then she was asking questions. And I remember the shame there, that I was thinking, what would my father think about me joining him in death? There, it really didn't make me feel good. Money didn't make me feel good. You know, I remember having money and squandering it, and then having even more money the next time and squandering it again. And status, you know, all of these titles that people were going to bestow upon me, that didn't really make me feel good either. All of the qualifications, you know, from university, etc., they're from further advanced education courses, that didn't make me feel good either. Because, and even being the wrong type of entrepreneur, that didn't make me feel good. I needed to find my niche. And by the way, all of you American folk out there, this is how it's pronounced. It's a French word, and it really is niche, not niche. Niche is something there I think people have in their hair, if they have hair. No, that's nits. Okay, but anyway, whenever I was reluctantly pushed, rather forced or tricked onto going onto the stage in front of all of those people in London, then that's whenever the transformation occurred. That was the inner breakthrough. Then the outer breakthrough came, you know, after the realization, my goodness, this is it. And then I realized that I was following in my father's footsteps. I was following in my uncle's footsteps. I only had one uncle. And I was following in my neighbor's footsteps. I come from a neighborhood of teachers there. To one side of us lived the director of the school. Another side was the PE teacher, the maths teacher, the geography teacher, the history teacher. And my father was the teacher of English. He was my teacher of English. He was a great trainer and a great coach. But that was the moment of revelation there, whenever I decided, yes, I want to teach people, and I know what I want to teach them. I want to teach them about what I'm going to show you. So this usually happens in two parts. Remember what I'm saying there, the inner transformation and the outer transformation. The inner transformation, as I just said, was me whenever I stepped on stage and I found out what I wanted to do. Water. No, I found out what I wanted to do. I found out that I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be a trainer. And then the outer transformation. The outer transformation was finding my first client to coach and getting paid for it. I remember that was a challenge. That was a challenge. But I went out there on my own and I advertised using things called newspapers and ads with a dark golden box. They really worked. Tip for anybody going back to the 1990s. And then using that and replicating it and finding my second client and getting them to pay more, and then getting my third client. I remember my third client even tried to offer me a helicopter. Then because what I was doing was I was providing exceptional value, and I was helping to save, what was it, tiles falling off the tops of shopping centres, participating in the building of intertranscontinental
highways all the way across Europe. Um, I was doing big things, and I was helping people, coaching people, training people, mentoring people there to do these incredible things. And I was working with incredible people. And I honestly, I didn't think it was like working. I enjoyed it so much. The work was, wow, tremendous. The hours were phenomenal. At that time, I was single, and I think it was very good, because I'll tell you, nobody would survive a relationship like that. But it was good. It set the ground for the way things wanted to be. Yeah. And I was constantly getting elevated results, each one better than the last, each one better than the last. It was phenomenal. It has been a phenomenal journey so far, and it will continue to be a phenomenal journey, because now what we're going to do is, now we're going to do the message for you. And I'm going to start to learn about you, each and every one of you. Okay. So I want you now to design your story. You've sat there and you've listened to me for long enough, and now it's time for me to hear about you. So what we're going to do is, we're going to ask you 7 questions, and all I ask is that you write down the question and you write down the answer. And when you write down the answer, please do not go to the next question until you've answered that question in full. In other words, don't go back and forward. Don't go back and forward. Okay? I want you to just sit down there, write honestly, write this. I'm going to show you now the 7 questions. So it's not as if I'm hiding something. I want to show you the 7 questions now, but I want to ask you to go through each question there before you progress to the next one. And please, we have to do all 7 questions before we continue on with the next lesson. Okay? So this will be your homework. 7 questions. What I want you to do is think about now. Number 1 is, what was your call? What is your call? Remember, present tense. Always talk in the present tense about this situation. What is your call into your story? You know, are you a professor? Did you have a burning need there to study economics, and then you thought, oh, I know what I want to do. I want to teach German economic studies, German history. Was it about shoe shining? Was it about being a handyman? Is it about cosmetics? Is it about cell phones, mobile phones, products like that, cashback? Is it personal tuition lessons, virtual reality lessons? That was a good one. There were some others. The oxygen rooms. What was it? What is your call into your story? I want to find out about your story. Question 2. What is your pit moment? What is your lowest moment? Lowest moment there that you will share with us, your group. Because we have to determine there if you are being the most authentic version of yourself. What are your search moments? What are your search moments? You know, how did you progress from what you were doing then, whenever you left college, when you left school, when you left high school, when you went out into the big bad world and thought, well, hold on a second, I have to go out and I have to earn a few euros, whatever. What are your search moments? What are your search moments there that brought you here to this table with myself and Alex there today? What is your breakthrough moment? What is your inner breakthrough moment and your outer breakthrough moment? Okay, so question 5 is, what is your inner breakthrough moment? And then, of course, question 6, what is your outer breakthrough moment? And question 7, I want you to think about this one. Think about this one. What are your extended credibility breakthroughs? And what I'm talking about is, I'm asking you now not to think about this no longer in terms of you, the individual, but I want to think about you in terms of your relationships. Perhaps you're married. Perhaps you're in a relationship with a life partner. Perhaps you're involved in some groups. Perhaps you're involved in a charity group. Perhaps you're doing things to save the planet. Perhaps you're doing things for the sake of mankind. Perhaps you've got an overwhelming desire to to produce something or to build something, or you want to revolutionize something, you want to change something, you want to tweak something, you want to design the next iPhone, you want to build the next Uber. What do you want to do, and what are your extended credibility breakthroughs? Maybe it's one of these, maybe it's more than one of these, but what are your extended credibility breakthroughs? Okay. Remember now, start off like we always try to reverse engineer this, and I always say take your life into 3 phases, divide it roughly. So then I'm 49 at the time of writing this, and I'm trying to divide this up as follows. So I divide this up into 16 years, 15 years, and 18 years. Okay. The reason why I did this was from 31 to 49, I've lived in Poland. 16 to 31, I was going through my studies, I went to boarding school, I went to university, I got my first jobs, and I was trying to searching. But from 0 to 16, there I also thought, well, hold on, what success have I had there? Right? And I remember there was, in terms of the high points and the low points, the pits and the credibility. The credibility was I ran for my country, athletics, 1500 meters, watched by my father. The low point was having my first serious accident, and it resulted in me losing, to all intents and purposes, my left hand, and I was left-handed. Always remember that movie with Daniel Day-Lewis, My Left Foot. Wow, Christy Brown. Wow. Okay, use the present tense, as I've said, because it will really help you to describe your feelings, and your audience will really be able to relate and empathize with you. Okay. So then I remember they're 17 to 31, qualifying in joint first position for the best possible IT placement there with Digital Equipment Corporation. They're now called Compaq. Graduating second in my class with a degree in IT systems and foreign languages. Low point was 10 years from having my first serious accident, the second one there, the one that I just told you about in my pit. And now the shaking, the Parkinson's had got a lot worse. Yep. So then the third point was, the high point was getting back on stage in front of a few hundred people and really finding out what my breakthrough moment was. And you can see even now, as I'm saying this to you, I noticed there in the camera in the little corner of the screen here, I've got a big smile on my face. I loved it. I loved it. Words cannot describe how nervous I am. I've seen some episodes of MasterChef, and you have people there like Michel Roux, and he's saying, oh, his hands are shaking like a leaf. I say, okay, if you think that is his hand shaking like a leaf, you have to see my hands. And I even ran a food preparation business. If you ever type in things like YouTube, Rick Stein, mandolin, you will know exactly what I'm talking about here. I am very, very, very lucky that I still have 8 fingers and 2 thumbs left. Anyway, what we did was we just got on with it, and we turned it to our advantage. We even held a competition. Yeah, if you could be more nervous than I. Come on, come on, let's see you. It really encouraged some people to break through their shells, and to become a really authentic version of themselves. It was fantastic. Okay. And then I think the low point was obviously there when my friend Michael Parkinson made friends with Madame Tourette over here, and I call this my nasty, impolite friend, because what she makes me do is she makes me curse and say bad language uncontrollably. I think it was brought home by my daughter on her first day of preschool, when she uttered a series of fully phrased English expletives to her preschool, to her kindergarten teacher. and you sort of look on shocked and mortified and think to yourself, oh, it's okay, she didn't really say what you think that she just said. And then she says, oh, no, 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 I did, I just, and it was shocking, it's nasty. And of course, the person there that she has learned this from is me, and I'm just as shocked as anybody else when this stuff comes out of my mouth. It's caused by stress, and this is why I like to work with somebody there's somebody like who is a mindset coach, like for example, like Alex, because I've lost so many business relationships because of my nasty, impolite friend, and the important ones have survived, but only through a process of understanding and making vitally clear from the beginning that this alter ego, this other character of myself, of my brain, does unfortunately exist, and we do have to deal with this appropriately. Okay, so this is very important, and I do apologize to anybody in this course if anything like this happens. Normally it's okay. It's just if there's stress, or if I have an accident or something, and policeman's trying to cut me out of a vehicle, and then things like that can happen. Okay, but anyway, I will try as much as possible there, and if I feel it coming on, I will try to hold my mouth and stop it from coming. Okay. Anyway, your story. Remember, from this will come your message. Remember, your story should be in the present tense. And create your story, please, please, please. Create your story with your customers in mind. Because this is always, always, always what I was after. Great. I would approach people on the conference floors, and I would always make it a point of trying to cultivate at least 3 to 5. I wasn't even concerned if it was only 3, but I would really try to make it a point of not trying to talk to everybody, not trying to run around the conference like a bloody sprint. I was more concerned that it was like a marathon, and I would really try to cultivate about 3 really, really good relationships. 3 really good relationships. I would sit there, I would make notes, and I would think to myself, how can I put this forward? How can I build the better version of myself? And always try to create a dilemma for your customers. Give them a choice and then make them think. But please answer the questions. Answer these 7 questions as honestly as you can. It will serve you dividends. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. Okay. And Alex, this is what I would say about Alex. Alex is a mindset coach. He's clear, he's concise, and he's to the point. I suffer from a huge range of problems. I'm always busy. I get up at like 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, and I'm not productive. I don't know if it's coronavirus or if it's COVID-19 times, whatever, but my 4.5-year-old is constantly here. My life partner, is always away out working, and I'm anxious, I'm stressed out, I'm overwhelmed, and I'm constantly fighting with myself there to make sure that I'm bringing the best version of myself to the table. And I believe there that with my skills and my problems and my experiences, and then together with Alex's and his skill sets, he will help me there to overcome these problems, and to help us as a group to overcome these problems, and to make sure then that we have a truly formidable course. And I wrote to you, and I want to leave with this there, because I think there that this is the message there that I want to portray. Now, I haven't had time to write it down, so I'm just going to orally give this message. I want to coach people who want to master social media and email marketing, and to learn how to effectively, and people who want to learn how to effectively place and position their services on Google, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. Ads Manager. And if I can train and if I can coach these professionals together with Alex,
with these messages, then I believe that truly, honestly, and authentically, we can succeed together. I believe that all service-based businesses have a life story and a life lesson. Please, you really don't understand the importance of this until you actually do this exercise. You do this exercise. Be authentic, be open, be honest. We want to really understand who you are and what you're about. So this is my message to you. And now it's with a very, very big thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for attending. Thank you for sharing this or allowing me to share this with you. And then for now, then we say peace out and see you soon. Bye-bye.